Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Austin Kaufman, and this will be the first of my new podcast series. This series, I will mostly focus on basketball-related stuff, but if I need to, I can always extend it. Currently, the time is 12:53 Eastern Time, and we have had such a busy time in the NBA and March Madness. What I'm going to be explaining to you guys today is the NBA standings and teams' upcoming schedules, March Madness as we enter the men's Final Four and women's finals, and a few NBA awards on who I think should win. So let's get it started with talking a little bit about the standings in the NBA. First, let's start off with the Eastern Conference. At the bottom five teams, the Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Pistons, and Wizards are all eliminated from playoff contention. Now, these teams, they could have a better future with first-round draft picks for most. As we enter a little bit higher, the play-in tournament, the 9-10 games, Chicago and Atlanta battling for that. They are one game apart from each other. They will battle for the 9 and 10 spot in the play-in. They would rather, of course, the 9 to get that home court advantage in that first game of the play-in to potentially move on and win. As we move up, we have had a very close standings. It can really just be 4-game a difference from the 8 seed to the 3 seed. At the 8 seed, we have the Philadelphia 76ers with a 42-35 record. They are a few games above 500 and have won 3 in a row, mainly because getting their star back, Joel Embiid, has been helpful after he went through a surgery process on a bad meniscus injury. He will be back, and I will talk a little bit more later about my prediction for the 76ers in their late playoff run. As we keep moving up, at the 7 seed, the Miami Heat, who look to go back to the playoffs this year, are kind of shaping up as we end this season. They had that magical run last year where they made it to the finals as an 8 seed. As we moving up to the 6 seed, 6 through 1, we have the Indiana Pacers, who are looking to potentially get into the playoffs for the first year in a while now. They are just one game behind the 5 seed New York Knicks, who have struggled in recent games. They lost last night to the Chicago Bulls pretty badly. They got an ejection from their player Josh Hart. The Knicks are struggling, and they really are. They just found out earlier this week that Julius Randle will not return. As we keep moving up, the Orlando Magic could potentially host a playoff series at their home court, as they are currently the 4 seed. They are tied with New York, but really, Orlando's not looking for anything specific. They want a good playoff run. They want to do something in the playoffs. They have their defense that has just been so outstanding in recent games. As we keep moving up, the 3 seed Cleveland Cavaliers have struggled recently because in their last 10 they are 4-6. With their most recent game being against the Phoenix Suns, they lost that one pretty bad. As we keep moving up, the 2 seed right now, Milwaukee Bucks, hold a 1-game advantage against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have now lost 3 games in a row to non-playoff contention teams. The Memphis Grizzlies at home, Washington Wizards away, and Toronto Raptors at home. As we move up even more, the Boston Celtics, of course, are 14 games above the Milwaukee Bucks. They are now at 61 wins off a 1-point win last night against the Sacramento Kings. They've won 4 in a row. They cannot be beaten. As we move to the other conference, the Western Conference, the bottom 5 teams, Houston, who had that surge late with their star Jalen Green playing absolutely outstanding, having better field goal numbers, scoring almost 30 a game, better 3-point percentage. They have now struggled. They've lost 4 in a row after winning 11 in a row. They are pretty much out of playoff contention unless they can somehow get a miracle by winning the rest of their games and having the Warriors lose the rest. At the 12th seed, we have the Utah Jazz, who showed us a little something early in the season, but have now lost 11 games in a row. Though the bottom 3 teams have all shown they can still be good teams. The Memphis Grizzlies have won 3 in a row. They are out of playoff contention. This team has had the most players play out of anybody, most starting lineups. They've beaten good teams, and they can do that. As the 14 seed, the Portland Trail Blazers, they've won 2 in a row now. They are out of playoff contention, but hope to build a stronger organization building into next year. At the 15 seed, the bottom in the West, we have the San Antonio Spurs with Victor Wembanyama. Of course, their future may be strong. They do hold their first-round pick this year and could look to draft somebody to pair along Victor. As we move up into the playoff play-in seeding, at the 10 seed, we have the Golden State Warriors, who just recently lost last night to the Dallas Mavericks, have pretty much clinched their 10 seed spot, so we'll get a play-in chance. They're battling out with the thriving Los Angeles Lakers, now with 44 wins on the year. They won 3 in a row. As we keep moving up, the Sacramento Kings and New Orleans Pelicans, 2 teams we saw as the 6 and 5 seed, have now moved into the play-in, replacing the Suns and Mavericks, who have both had recently good games. The Kings, who are 44 and 33, have now lost 2 in a row, and the New Orleans Pelicans have now lost 4 in a row and are 4 and 6 in their last 10 games. As we move up the 6 through 1 in the West, we have the Phoenix Suns, who have now won 3 in a row. Their record is 46 and 31, and they're 1 game behind the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks, as we keep moving up, are the 5 seed, have been absolutely outstanding these last 10 games, being 9 and 1. They are hard to beat when they are at their best. They're healthy. When Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving play with each other, they are so hard to stop. As we keep moving up, the 4-3-2-1, it's kind of shaping out a little bit for the 4 and 3. The Clippers, who have played good recently, have had a few good wins, one against the Nuggets a few nights ago, have now won 2 in a row, and have 49 wins on the season. The top 3 in the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, and the Minnesota Timberwolves have all clinched 6 through 1 playoff seeding. As we see at the 3 seed, the Thunder are just 1 game behind the tie for the Nuggets and Timberwolves. They've now lost 3 in a row, though, the Thunder. They had a pretty bad loss against the Celtics a few nights ago by about 35. They look to improve their record. But at the top, the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves have actually kind of found out a way to play their lineup without their star, Karl Anthony Towns. They've used a little bit more of their bench for scoring and more Anthony Edwards taking shots. That is the standings right now currently in the NBA. Really, anything can happen. I'm just going to go over it one more time so you guys can hear it. So, for the Eastern Conference, the 10 seed, the Atlanta Hawks, the 9 seed, the Chicago Bulls, the 8 seed, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the 7 seed, the Miami Heat. The 6 seed, Indiana Pacers, the 5 seed, New York Knicks, the 4 seed, Orlando Magic, 3 seed, Cleveland Cavaliers, 2 seed, Milwaukee Bucks, and 1 seed, Boston Celtics. In the West, 10 seed, Golden State Warriors, 9 seed, Los Angeles Lakers, 8 seed, Sacramento Kings, 7 seed, New Orleans Pelicans, 6 seed, Phoenix Suns, 5 seed, Dallas Mavericks, 4 seed, Los Angeles Clippers, 3 seed, Oklahoma City Thunder, 2 seed, and 1 seed. They are tied for that, the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves. As we keep moving on, we will start a new topic right now. We are going to be talking a little bit about March Madness. Last night, on Friday night, we saw 2 great games. NC State took on South Carolina. It looked like it would have been a good game from the start. NC State really showed that they belong. But as we got back from the second half, I'm pretty sure that South Carolina outscored them about 30-6 in that third quarter, and they took about a 20-point win. The second game of the night, which was a very entertaining one, Iowa-UConn, that game went all the way to the buzzer. UConn showed that they belong at the beginning, holding a 10-point lead in that first quarter. But as that second half went on, Caitlin Clark finally found her strengths. She started to hit shots. Iowa took a 10-point lead, 1 point in the fourth quarter. UConn started to come back a little bit with a few good buckets from their bigs. And Paige Beckers, of course. But as we went on for the last play of the game, there was a pretty rough call as Elijah Edwards, UConn center, got called for an illegal screen. It was an offensive foul. It gave Iowa possession up to with just about 3 seconds left and ruined UConn's hope for now going into the final game. Though, for the final game, we will see South Carolina and Iowa faced off. That will be a classic one. I will have a mini podcast in this week talking about the prediction for that and the men game. Today we have the men game. Earlier we have Purdue, NC State, which should be good. NC State, the 11th seed. They shouldn't have even been in March Madness if it wasn't for that ACC tournament win. The later game, UConn has 4 seed Alabama, 1 seed UConn. That will be the later game. My predictions for these games, I think Purdue will show strength, but I think NC State will hold on. It will be a very good game all the way to the buzzer, but Purdue might just pull out and finish with a 76-71 win to finish the game. For the later game, I've always said it, UConn is the team to beat, and I just don't think anybody can beat them. They have such a good offense. They play together. They always take the right shots. I think they're going to blow out Alabama, and they're going to win this game 81-67. As we move on to the final topic of this podcast, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the NBA awards and my prediction for each one. First, I'd like to start off with the MVP. I've had a clear player all year in mind, and that's just been Nikola Jokic. I don't really know another guy that could give you 20, 10, and 10 with ease every single night. He does it on one of the best teams in the NBA, one of the best working teams in the NBA. He's just good. He just is. You can't stop him. There's no way to stop him. There has not been that find yet for him. Though I do have a few runner-ups I'd like to mention. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has had an outstanding season. He's very consistent, and he knows how to create shots. He's also been on a great Thunder team that didn't have those huge expectations coming into the year. He has really shown that they do belong in that conversation. I'm also going to mention a few other guys. Luka Doncic, who I think can show he is still an MVP. I think it's a little late in the season for him too, but he has really shown he has improved throughout the season. Also, I'd like to give a mention to Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. He's had a pretty good year, has slowed down a little bit, but he is continuing to dominate. And then the final mention, I just like to mention Jason Tatum. He is on the best team in the NBA. Of course, he's going to get a mention in this. Yeah, he may not be one of the best players out of these guys, but if you're on the best team in the NBA, you've got to have a good player, and Jason Tatum does just that. As we keep moving on, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Rookie of the Year and who I think deserves it. I think this one is a clear, obvious winner. I'm going to give it to Victor Wembanyama. He has shown his strength. He is unbelievable, especially as we come this season to an end. He has just shown his greatness in just his first year. We thought he'd be a little shaky. He has gone right to it, and he has just been that outstanding player. He's averaging above 20 points a game with 3 blocks and so much rebounds on a bad team. Like, he doesn't have anybody to pass to. He doesn't have anybody hit shots. He's doing it on his own. As we continue, I'd like to give a few other guys. Chet Holmgren, who didn't play at all last season, made his first appearance this season. He's been really good. He's been a great rim protector. He has been a great player all around on offense, not only shooting the ball, but setting screens, assisting offensive rebounds. I'd like to give a few other mentions as well. Brandon Miller of the Charlotte Hornets has shown more than we expected him to. He's been great. He's been averaging about 15 for the Hornets. I'd also like to give a little shout out to Brandon Podolski of the Warriors. As he may not be the best player scoring-wise, it's hard to be the best scorer on a team where you have so many good scorers like Steph, like Clay, like Jonathan Kuminga. He's done great, though. He's played the point guard position, which he doesn't usually play. He's learned how to do that this season. He's been a great assisting the ball. And he's also a guy to go to on offense if you need a shot. He has a great step-back lefty jumper, and he can also attack the basket. Jaime Jaquez is another guy of the Miami Heat who could deserve to be in this conversation. While he's not up there with the big guys, he had that excellent middle of the season run where he was a great scorer. He's calmed down a little bit these last few games, but he's definitely a guy for the future on the Miami Heat. As we keep moving on, the Sixth Man of the Year award has always been a fun one to watch these guys play. My winner is Norman Powell of the Los Angeles Clippers. I think Norman Powell has shown his strengths, and he can also give you 30 a game off 5 3-point makes. It's not only threes, though, for him. He can attack the basket great. He's just an all-around great player on a team like the Los Angeles Clippers who really need him. For a few runners-up, I have Malik Monk of the Sacramento Kings. He's been outstanding. Him and Norman Powell, I say, are right next to each other in this conversation. There's a few guys lower, but Malik Monk has been just great. He just has. And then a few other guys, I'm saying Tim Hardaway Jr. of the Dallas Mavericks. Hardaway Jr. had a great start to the season, has calmed down on his 3-point makes, 3-point percentage. Another guy is Bogdan Bogdanović of the Atlanta Hawks. He's been great, though the worry about him is really, has he came off the bench enough, or has he started too many games to win this award? A few other guys going up on the bigs. I've got Naz Reid and Bobby Portis. Naz Reid, the guy of the Minnesota Timberwolves, is a great player. He's strong. He can shoot the ball. He can attack the basket. He's also a great scorer. He can give you 20 a game on the Timberwolves, which is a good team, and his role has increased now without Karl Anthony Towns. The final guy on this list, I said Bobby Portis of the Milwaukee Bucks. Bobby Portis has really been outstanding this year without Giannis. Though a little worry for him is consistency. Is he going to have that good night, or is he going to struggle? And that's what the Bucks look for. They need those good nights every night, and that's why he's just a little bit lower from these guys, is consistency for him. As we keep moving on, Defensive Player of the Year, I've got a few guys. I've got 2 neck-and-neck guys. I haven't fully figured out who to give this award to yet. It's Rudy Gobert or Victor Wembanyama for me. We've kind of learned in the NBA now that you got to give guys an extra year, especially guys like Rudy Gobert, who didn't have his first good year on the Timberwolves, but has now shown greatness in his second year. While he's not been the guy on offense, he has been the guy on defense. He's the best rim protector in the NBA, and he can just show he can force bad shots and block the ball. Like I said, Victor Wembanyama, he isn't as high on this list just because he's really only that rim protector. He can give you 4 blocks a game. He's just not as good as and strong as Rudy Gobert is. Just makes him a little step lower. A few honorable mentions for this. Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers, another rim protector. Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo round that out. Most improved player. There's a lot of guys that can make this list, and my pick has been my pick throughout the entire season from the start to finish. It's not Tyrese Maxey. It's not Scotty Barnes. It's Coby White of the Chicago Bulls. Coby White, to me, has just had better improvements, and that's what we look at for this award, is who has improved the most over the course of the season. Yes, Tyrese Maxey has been a great player. He's probably became the better player from his adjustment, but Coby White has just done more. Coby White was a just simple role player coming off the bench for the Bulls and is now averaging about 20 a game for a team like the Bulls. Tyrese Maxey, who had a huge role this season, he was really still a star on his team, becoming a better star. He wasn't as good of a star. He was more of when Embiid was in the game and Harden was in the game, he wasn't going to as much. But now the ball is in his hands. It's going to him, of course, because he doesn't have as much help. I still think Coby White deserves that. A few honorable mentions for me include Scotty Barnes, of course, like I said. Alperen Sengun. I don't want to give the award to him, though he has been on that list. Sengun, who didn't show us much last season, could give us a good night, could give us a few good plays, but just wasn't himself as he is this year. He's kind of found his role. He's a great paint player. Like I said, Scotty Barnes Scotty Barnes is great. He's been excellent for the Toronto Raptors this year. He's shown us that he has worth and that the future of his career will be really high. Jonathan Kuminga and Jalen Williams are two others that I think can make this list, but just aren't up there and I don't think can really make that late season play. Clutch Player of the Year, I've got a few guys. Last year it was De'Aaron Fox. I really do want to stay with De'Aaron Fox, but there's a few other guys that have been way better than Fox. First, I want to give it to DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan last year gave us 2 straight nights where he hit a buzzer beater, but he's just been that best player. He has 114 clutch points, which doesn't really even come close to other players, which is a little bit lower than other players, but he has still shown he is built for the clutch. The ball goes to his hands. It's always in his hands those last few minutes, which doesn't happen much for the Bulls, but when it does, it is really that story for DeMar DeRozan. A few other guys I'd like to mention, Steph Curry, of course. You cannot put Steph Curry not on this list. Steph Curry holds the most clutch points this season, though I just think I don't really want to go for a three-pointer when I'm going for the win. I want to attack the basket. I want to get a mid-range jumper. Though Steph Curry has a better shot, it's what his shot is. I just think the percentage is lower. We saw a few of them this season. We saw one against the Phoenix Suns where he hit, of course, a deep three. But I would rather the ball go inside the paint. Whoever it is, I just think it matters so importantly that the ball gets closer to the rim. A few other honorable mentions, Damian Lillard, who hit that clutch shot for the Bucks earlier this season against the Kings, Derek White of the Boston Celtics, and Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. The Coach of the Year, there's a lot of guys that could make this list, but I really just want to give it to Chris Finch. He has been that best coach in the NBA. We can talk about record-wise, we can talk about players-wise. It's hard. It's hard when you only have one scorer on your team right now, like Anthony Edwards. And what has he shown to us? He said, our team is still good. And he's proving that. He can find roles out of any player on his team. He builds a good team. He builds a good bench. He builds a good starting lineup. He builds a good whole as a team. His team chemistry has definitely rose this year, as he also has the best defense in the NBA, which may not be looked at for a Coach of the Year for more offensive-wise, but he has gone both ways, offense and defense. I don't really have many honorable mentions for this. Oklahoma City Thunder coach Mark Daigneault, I think he could make this list. I just don't think he has done as much as the other guy, Chris Finch, of course. A few runners-up, Tyronn Lue of the Los Angeles Clippers, and J.B. Bickerstaff of the Cleveland Cavaliers round out my list. That will be it for today's show on Saturday, April 6th. I'd just like to thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, give me some support. Just comment anything down if you would like to see something else. My name is Austin Kaufman, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. Hope you have a good week watching basketball, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. Thank you.